So guys, from today we are going to start our main session. So I will start right first creating the ASP.NET Core web application. Right, so how we can create the ASP.NET Core web application. Guys, give me 1 minute. Okay. So guys, today we are going to start developing our fast ASP.NET Core web application. I will show you the steps, process, what are the things, right, which is very basics. But as a developer, if we know, that is good for us. So let us start creating the fast ASP.NET Core web application. And I assume you guys have installed Visual Studio 2022 and .NET SDK 8 on your machine, right? So if you want to confirm whether .NET SDK 8.0 is installed or not, right? Just open your command prompt, type the command .NET. So once you type the command .NET, right, this is going to come, right? And then this is your .NET is the driver command. Take this .NET and here copy this command to display the list of SDKs, right, that are installed on your machine. .NET list of SDK. And here you can see 8.0 is installed on my machine. So I can happily use .NET 8 on my right on my Visual Studio to develop the application. So please make sure 8 is installed on your machine. So now let us proceed and see how we can develop .NET Core application. So first of all, open Visual Studio, right? So Visual Studio 2022, I have already installed. So here you can see, right, if you're opening for the first time, right, then this left-hand side, right, recent project screens will not be appear. But as I have already working for so many days, right, with Visual Studio 2022, this recent project list it is showing here. So you do not need to worry about all these things. So here you need to think about creating a new project. So you can see there is an option called create a new project. Just click on this create a new project. So once you click on this create a new project, right, whatever the recent project templates, right, you have used to develop the application, those recent templates will be shown in the left hand side, but you do not need to worry about all these options. So here you can see there are three options. One of the option is what programming language you are going to use. And you can see, right, if you remember, right, while I'm discussing, and I've already given the information that .NET Core also supports different types of programming languages. So here you can see C sharp, F sharp, right? EB, right? Any programming language you can select. And here we are interested with the C sharp. And now the second option is you can see you want to develop the application for what purpose. So you are going to develop for Linux, Mac, Windows. So I'm installing Windows operating system. So I'm selecting the Windows. So whatever application that is applicable for Windows environment, those list it is going to show here. Now the third option is what type of application you want to develop, web application, unit testing application, class library project, right? Console application, desktop application, what type of application. So we are here to learn, right, ASP.NET Core web application. So I'm selecting this web template. So once I select the web template, then you can see whatever the project, right, you can develop on the Windows operating system using C# project, right? And the project type is going to be that list it is going to display here. For example, if I change this to console, then it is going to show me the template which is possible, right, which are available for developing the console application, right? So I'm here to develop the web application. So I'm selecting web, and once I select the web, you can see there are right different types of project templates. If you want to develop right Blazor application, you have to select this one. If you want to develop Razor Pages application, you have to select this template. For ASP.NET Core Web API application, you have to use this one. Again, this is for native Core Web API. This is for Azure Class Library. This is for ASP.NET Core MT project, right? This is core, right, MVC project, right? You can say .NET Core MVC project, right? So different project templates are there. As we progress, we are going to discuss, right? Uh, not all of these project templates, but whatever we have discussed, MVC project template, Web API project template, native Web API project template, right? So all these things we are going to discuss. But for now, right, I'm not going to start developing the VC application directly, or you can say Web API application directly. Why? Because if I'm using MVC and web API, so whatever the minimum things required for a MVC application or for a web API application, those things are going to be provided by framework. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the empty project, and then I will show you how you can convert that empty project to a MVC application, how you can convert that empty project to a web API application. What are the things that what we need to do in order to convert one empty project into MVC application as well as web API application, so that you will get the clarity. What are the components? Why this component? How this component we can manually create, and all these things we are going to learn. Once you learn these right components, right, then I'm going to show you right how to create the project using MVC as well as a web API project template. So for now, we are going with the empty project template. So you can see who is on mute. Guys, please, while I'm explaining, please mute yourself, right? So this is ASP.NET Core empty project template I have selected, and then I have to click on the next button. So once I click on the next button, here you can see three things are there. One is the project name, another is the location, another is the solution name, another one is the place the solution and project in the same directory. So this project name means what? Whatever name you want to give for your project, that name you need to give, right? So whatever name you want, and that name should be right relevant to your right functionality or business, right? For whatever purpose you are developing the project, that name should be relevant. Right? So here I'm giving fast web for application. This is a demo project, right? But whenever you are going to develop hotel management, right, flight booking application, or you can say library management, the e-commerce application, hospital management, right? Blog management. So in that case, right, that naming should be relevant to your business. So once you provide the project name in the project text box, then the next one is location. Location means what? Where you want to create the project on your local system. So in your local system, on which directory or in which folder you want to create the project, that what you need to select, right? So here you can type the things, or here you can select the three dot, and you can choose whatever your folder location. So let me go to the location. So I have created a folder called evening batch students, right? Evening batch projects. So this is the location where my project is going to be created. So what is the solution name? So before providing right information about solution name, can anybody tell me what is the difference between a project name and a solution name?
In single solution, we might have multiple projects.
Yes, in this, it's having a
Exactly.
multiple projects, the
Yes.
solution.
So a solution is nothing but
Solution
it's a
can be tenant
container
based.
of a project. Exactly. So a solution is a container of a project. So basically, within a single solution, we can have multiple projects. And guys, remember, if you are creating a single project and putting the solution name same as the project name doesn't make any sense. Right? So actually makes sense, right? So because we are going to create a single project. But if we are creating multiple, if we are planning to create different types of a project under a single solution, please try to give the solution name as a different name rather than the project. So here, by default, as it is going to create a single project, so here you can see whatever the project name we provided, it is also keeping the same name as the solution name. So if I'm doing some changes here, you can see automatically that is also reflecting in the solution name. Suppose I'm providing here, and you can see it is automatically reflecting. But even you can also change the solution name, no issue, right? So here you can give any name, right? By default, it is going to be the project name, but if you want, you can change this name. And then place the solution and the project in the same directory. What exactly it means? So in this case, guys, remember, if you checked this checked box, right, then what will happen? Now, within the solution folder, the project is going to be created. For project, there is no separate, right, what I can say, folder structure. But if I unchecked this one, then what will happen? It will create a folder with this name within this directory. And within this folder, it is going to create another folder with this name. Getting my point? So in this case, right? If I'm unselecting this one, let's give this name as, right, the first core web application demo. Let's give the solution name as this one. So in this case, right, as I'm not selecting, then what is the right folder structure going to be? So it is the folder structure, something like this is the directory what I have provided. Inside this directory, it is going to create a folder with the solution name, whatever we have provided. Inside this solution folder, it is going to create a folder with this name. And inside this folder, the project is going to be created. Clear?
Okay.
Sir,
But
here,
we
if
uncheck, but if we uncheck this one, then now what will happen? Now, whatever the project name we provided, that will become the solution name. And inside that folder only the project is going to be created. But now there is no separate folder for the solution. Now within this folder only the project is going to be created. And that what you can verify here. Where the project is going to be created, what is the folder location we have provided. Inside this location, this is the solution name. And inside the solution, the project is going to be created. But once I unchecked this one, then there is a different, right? You can see this is the solution name, this is the folder. Clear?
yeah, sir, in this example, so for example, I have created directory structure in a different way. So one solution, I have created multiple projects, for example, 10 projects. So in future, I just wanted to create all those in a single directory. So if in
But
that
that is
case,
not possible. That is not possible. So within a single directory, you cannot put all the projects. For that purpose, right, you have to provide a right project name, a separate folder for each project. So this is possible, right? Only when you are having a single project,
okay,
right? If you are having multiple projects, then for each project you have to create a different folder.
okay, got
Clear?
it.
So in this case, right, I'm providing this one, right? I'm keeping them separately, and it is a best, right? It is a best programming practice to keep the solution name and the project name separate. Means within the solution for each project, create a different or separate folder. So in this case, that the structure I'm following here. Providing the project name, solution name, you can keep same name or a different name. That doesn't matter. Okay, let me give this as a right. What I can say, different name. So here, what I'm doing, I'm providing first core web, right? The name I'm giving here, core web applications, right? Core web applications, and here, what name I'm providing? I'm providing first core web application demo. So here you can see core web application is the solution folder, and within the solution folder, it is going to create a folder with the project name, and within this folder, our project files are going to be created. Clear?
Yeah, my one question is there.
Yes.
Yeah, if we don't select right a solution checkbox, so it will create a SLN file or not?
Obviously, definitely. So there is so what I'm saying, in that case, this is going to be your solution file only. So within this solution, there is no project folder. Directly the project files are going to be created here.
Okay.
Getting my point?
Give me a second. So
Right?
you
Sir,
mean to say,
Right? So
yeah,
you can
so
do
you mean to
this.
say, if I not
Yes.
select that checkbox, then it will not
Correct.
create, right?
So if you are not selecting this checkbox, then there is a separate folder, right? First, it will
Hmm.
create the solution folder. Then it is going to create the project folder. Within the project folder, it is going to create the projects. But if
Okay.
we check this one, then there is no separate project folder. Directly, this will become the solution name. And within this solution folder, right, you can see now it is not allowing you to modify. Why? Because this is going to become the solution folder. And inside this folder, the project file is going to be created,
Okay.
right? So now
Okay.
I'm selecting this one and I'm selecting core first core web application. Okay, let me give the name, the solution name as core web applications and first core web application demo one. I'm providing the name as this one. First core web application demo one. So now with these changes, next click on this next button. So once you click on this next button, right, it is coming this window, additional information. So here it is asking to get some additional information about the type of a project what you are creating. So by default, you cannot change the type of a project at this window. So here you can see it is completely right. Here it is saying that the project type is ASP.NET Core empty, right? So you cannot change this project type in this window. So here for this ASP.NET Core empty project, right? What other additional informations are required that what you need to provide? Here, first option is that framework. Framework means what is the framework that you want to target, right? Based on which, right, the required libraries, the required tools, the required packages are going to be provided, right? So based on that framework, right, it is going to provide the support, right? For example, if I'm selecting .NET 8, then .NET 8 related SDK it is going to install. Getting my point? If I'm selecting .NET 6.0, then .NET 6.0 related SDK, right? For creating the .NET Core application, targeting .NET 6.0 version, whatever all packages are required, right? Those are going to be provided. If I'm selecting 8.0, then this is the target framework, right? Using which the project is going to be created. So the first option is you have to select the target framework, right? Which target framework you want to use for creating the project. So here I'm selecting the latest one, that is 8.0. Now here you can see another checkbox is there, and if you put the mouse pointer over here, it is saying configure HTTPS. So what exactly it means? It means, right, if you are selecting this checkbox, then by default, whenever you send a request using HTTP protocol, that request is going to be converted into HTTPS protocol. Second thing, for configuring HTTPS, I mean, right, SSL, right, whatever things are required, right, for, see, HTTPS means what? Secured layer protocol, right? So for configuring HTTPS protocol, whatever configuration is required, right, that is going to be provided by Visual Studio while creating the project. So if you checked this checkbox, then you can access the application using HTTPS protocol for creating the SSL certificate, registering the certificate, right? Configuring the certificate. All these things are going to be handled by the Visual Studio. So on the local machine, while you are running the application on your Visual Studio, right, it gives you the support for running the application using HTTPS protocol. If you unchecked this one, then what will happen? Now you can only access the application right on your development machine using HTTP protocol. No HTTPS support will be provided. No configuration is going to be provided by Visual Studio for running the application using HTTPS. So now if you select this one, then HTTPS support will be there. You can run the application using HTTPS, as well as you can also run the application using HTTP protocol. HTTP by default is there. HTTPS, it is up to you. If you checked this checked box, HTTPS support will be there. If you unchecked this one, then HTTPS support will not be there. Clear?
So is there any way if by mistake we can't select this and later we want to make the
Yes, that is
application?
right.
Yeah.
That's it. This is for the development environment, right? For production, it is completely different. So this is what I'm showing here, right? It is only for the development. In the development environment, if you want to check this one, and later if you want to, right, if you want that my application should run on HTTPS, that is also possible. How to do that?
Okay.
I will show you, right, practically. So once I explain
Okay.
the things, then you will get the clarity. So
Okay.
for
Fine.
now,
Sure.
let's keep this checked box. And here you can see enable container support. So enable container support. Here you can see once I see uncheck once I select this one, so it is also selecting the container and the container build type. Once I uncheck this one, then these two things are not selected. So basically, what exactly it means? It means if you want to enable container support, means if you want to host your application on right, right, what I can say on cloud, then you have to enable this one. So once you enable this one, that means your right cloud computing support is going to be provided. And once the cloud computing support is provided, then it is asking you, right, on which operating system you want to host this application. You want to host this application on Windows or Linux, on cloud. See, whether you are using it on premises or whether you are using cloud computing services, operating system must be there. Without operating system, the system is not going to function. right? On cloud, even though you are using cloud, you need to tell, right? I'm going to host my application on Linux operating system or Windows operating system. By default, in this case, Linux is selected because it is lightweight and it is more secure than Windows. But if you want, then you can also use Windows operating system. So once you select this one, then you have to select the Docker file or SDK, right? So Docker file means, right? It is this Docker file means it is a you can say script file which contains all the necessary information, right, to build your application on the container. Right? That is going to be automatically generated by the right Visual Studio, right, for hosting this application into container. For now, we are not going to use this one because don't have that Microsoft Azure account, right, where we are going to host the application kind of things. Then the next thing, right, what you can see here, do not use the top level statement, right? So guys, remember, right, from .NET 9, right, from C# 9, not .NET 9, from C# 9, right, they are provided one concept called the top level statement. So from C# 9, they are provided some right one concept called a top level statement. So what do you mean by top level statement? So top level statement means that, right? See, before understanding the top level statement, right? Let me give you one idea. Whether in .NET Core, right? Forget about the .NET Core. If you are developing a console application, then which one is the entry point for your program? Which method is the entry point for your application?
Program dot.
The program class
Into
file,
the
and there is a method called main that is going to be the entry point, right? Similarly, in .NET Core, right? In .NET Core, whether you are developing a console application, whether you are developing a desktop application, whether you are developing a right to ASP.NET Core web application, MVC application, web API application, any kind of application you take into consideration, right? There is a main method from where the program execution is going to be started. And that main method is going to be right inside the program.cs class file. So the point that what you need to remember, right? So if there is a class, right, called program, right? Inside that class program, right, there is a method called right main method. So inside this program class, main method is there. So inside this main method, it is going to contain some logic which is going to start your application. What logic we will discuss now. So here it is going to contain the code, right? So now, if I select this do not use top level statement, then it is going to create the program class main method and where it is going to write the code. So this is your normal way of developing application, right? Standard way, standard program class. Standard program class with main method. Clear? This is the standard program class with main method. And now let assume here I'm having statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, something like statement 1. So some statement 2, some statement 3, some statement 4, right? So let assume there are a few statements are there, statement 3, statement 2, and let assume these are the statements there. So this is the standard program class with main method. Now, if I'm going with the top level statement, right? Top level statement. So the top level statement means what? Top level statement means there is no program class and there is no main method, only the code. Right? So there is no main method, right? There is no program class and only is the code. And if there and if you are directly writing the code, right, something like this within a class file, then it will consider this is a top level statement and means what? This is where the application execution logic is written, and it will automatically consider this code, whatever you written here, this is part of your main method only. So if I am selecting this one, right? If guys, give me 1 minute. Right? So the point that you need to remember, guys, here, if I'm checking this one, then what it is saying, do not use top level statement. That means it is not going to use this top level statement, means it is going to create the program class, main method, and inside that main method, it is going to write this code. But at the same time, if I uncheck this one, then now it is going to use the top level statement. So now it is going to use the top level statement means now you will not find this program class name and main method name. You only see this statement. And in a single project, right? And in a single project, you can have only one top level statement. Single project, only one, right? Top level statement. Clear?
What is the use of this means?
So
Could
this
you
is
please?
there is nothing use, right? They are just simplifying. So why are you are going to create this program class main method unnecessarily? So you can directly write the code and the rest of the things we will take care. So we will consider this is the main method of the right. What I can say, this is the right code. Whatever you want to execute as part of the main method, no need to write the main method and all these things directly. You can write. There is no differences. So they are just
Okay.
Excuse me.
introducing.
Sir,
But
Excuse me.
so
yes.
Excuse me. So it means the top level statement, if you use top level statement, it is the same as assuming you have main class and sorry, program class and main. That is what is assumed. They serve the
So
same function.
it is not assuming. If you are using top level statement means this is the statement of the main method it is considered. It is no assumption. This is the statement of the main method, nothing else. And in a
Okay, what
project,
about
you
program?
can have only. So what I have written here, only one top level statement. You cannot have a multiple top level statement where you are going to write this code in one class file, another class file without class name and method name. You
Yeah,
cannot do
yeah.
only one class.
Okay,
Inside that class, you
okay.
can directly write the statement, and it will consider those statements are part of the main method by default.
And the class
so
program,
sir,
Yes,
will you
it's
consider
like
it as a
sir.
class?
one by one, guys, one by one.
Will you consider it as under the class program?
Yes, definitely. So this is the class program, na?
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Sir,
thank you.
this means this class is provided by .NET framework
Yes,
internally,
yes, yes,
like that, sir.
yes, yes. So as a developer, we are not writing, but that is going to be handled by the framework.
But
Okay.
by default, class name is the program. When
Yes,
we
class name is a program, and the method name is going to be main by default.
So this
oh,
main method and class
Even we
programs are
select this checkbox, is still sir same class name program.cs and main.
Yes, yes, definitely. If you select this one, it is
Okay.
going to create the class name as the program. And I'm going to show you
Okay.
both, right? So do
Yes.
not use the top level statement means it is going to create the program class with main method. And if I unchecked this one, then it is not going to. Both example I'm going to show. The last option is enlist in .NET as per architecture. What exactly it means? It means if your build process is very complex. So this is basically for the DevOps engineer. Or right, if you are hosting your application in Microsoft Azure and your deployment is very complex, right? Then in that case, you can make use of this enlist in .NET as per architecture, which will help you to right properly build the application, properly right deploy the application. So basically, you can consider it is the CI/CD, right? You guys know what do you mean by CI/CD?
Sure,
Continuous
sure.
integration, continuous deployment. So
Integration
for that
Yeah.
purpose, you can make use of this one, right? So with all these options, right now, let's click on this create button and let's see what project it is going to create it. And meanwhile, I'm also going to show you another project without selecting that one.
My
So
one question is there. Is this
yes,
option is there without means for other application plain ASP.NET, the
this
top
is
level
for
step,
this is for
or it's
every kind of this is for
any
every
project?
kind of application.
Okay.
So now let me go ahead and create another project. And here what I'm using, right? So I think I have selected a different project template. So let me go ahead and select this ASP.NET Core empty. And here, right, I'm selecting this one. Now I'm selecting this one, right? So now, so this is my project first, which I've created. You can see this is my program.cs class file. Here you can see the program class name and the main method. And the second project I have on selected that one. Here you can also see the program.cs class file, but here you can see it is directly writing the code. Clear? Now, if you try to create another class, let me go ahead and create another class. Let's say some sample class. right? And here, right, what I'm trying to do, I'm going to do these things, right? So what exactly it is saying? Only one compilation unit can have top level statement. Already we have a top level statement here. So we cannot have a two top level statement in a single project, right? So you cannot create something like this, right? So now, as you can see here, right, we have not provided the class name, the method name. So by default, it will consider this code, right? This code, whatever we have written here, it is part of the program class main method. Clear, guys?
So, sir, we can suppose we rename the program.cs some sample
This
dot.
doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. Whatever name you
Okay,
want, right? So here instead of a program, I give you my program. Doesn't matter.
okay. But only then only on top level statement is mandatory.
Important is right main method. So main method, and that is what. So in this case, this is just a class file name. You are getting. So this is not your class name. This is the file name. Whatever name you give it, that this is there is no issue. You're getting my point? So file name and class name, both are two different things. In this case, what is your class name? Class name is my program. But in this case, right, so, sorry, in this case, what is the file name? File name is my program.cs. Here, the class name, public class, that name is going to be program, that method name is going to be main. Clear?
Sir, suppose I delete this file and I created the new file like my sample. So in that case, the by default name is my program class name is my program only.
Why you are thinking too much? So I'm just telling, if you are writing the top level statement means it is part of your main method and program class. That's it. What is the class name you are providing doesn't matter.
No, my intention is
For
just
example, let me copy this code. Let me delete this class file from here. Create a separate class file. Let me go ahead and create a class file. Let me give the class file name as a text and let me write this code. So in this case also, this is going to be part of your program class main method.
Sir, if we have test one, test two, and test three files, okay, and
Okay.
if I paste this code in test three file,
So how
then
you
it
can
will
do this?
become the
That is
main method,
not
right?
possible. That is what I'm saying from the beginning. You cannot have more than one top level statement. So if you want
So,
to create
no, only in one file I can do, no?
exactly only one. Suppose you are creating text. If
Test two,
you
and
try
test
this
three.
one, you will get error.
No, no, no.
You cannot
These
do
we
this.
cannot do. Yeah, only in one, now out of three.
Only
Understood.
one. Only one. And that is going to be the program class main method. Whatever code you
Main
written,
method.
this
Okay, sir.
is your
Understood.
main method only.
Okay.
Clear?
Hi, could you please more elaborate on this statement, right? The first
No,
you have declared.
I'm not explaining this statement. What are the statement I'm going to explain. But now, what are the statement? That is what I'm not talking about. So what I'm talking about, what is right, top level statement. Top level statement doesn't mean what code I'm writing here. Top level
Okay.
statement means a code what we are writing without any method name and class name.
Then my concern is what is this builder and builder.build method?
Why you are in a hurry? So I'm going to discuss whatever statement I'm
Okay.
writing here. Every statement I'm going to discuss. But before that,
Okay, fine.
things, right?
Okay,
So what do we mean by top level statement? That's what I need to understand. Top level statement means I'm writing the statement without using any class name and the method name. Clear?
Which one is top level statement is only part of the main method, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Clear? And
So those will
generally, right?
be
And I generally not prefer this approach. As a old school student, you can consider. I generally prefer to use this approach.
so these
Because
main method and class will be hidden, sir, if we use top level statements like.
exactly. Right? So this is
Okay,
the
sir.
top level
Sir, this is
statement.
only in C# 9. It is not on the in the earlier versions, right?
No. From C#9, this is available. Right? If you are working with older framework, then like it's not .NET 5 and something. From 6, I think this is from 6 or 7, this is available. Older framework, this is not available. Older framework, you have to go with this approach. And generally, and whenever I'm going to develop the application, I'm going to follow this approach because I generally prefer a structured way of writing the code. Program class should be there. Within the class, method should be there. Within the method, I'm going to write the code. But you can also go with this approach. There is no issue. Clear, guys?
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
So
sir.
now,
Sir, I have a doubt.
yes.
Sir, if you have one more program file and that file contain a class and a method with the same top statements there, so is there any error occur? Because that var builder and all
So,
in that
so,
program file also have.
so what is your query?
We have a class and we have a main function there. And we have one statements there, builder.web application, something like that. And if we have one more file with the same program, is there any error code?
Yes. So how you can have two class name right with the two class name? So for example, if you are talking about something like this, so this is not possible because right, suppose I'm writing here program, so it is only going to getting confused now from where we need to start the program execution. From the right, let assume I'm giving this class name as 2, here I'm giving the class name as 1. Right. So in this case, you just tell me, right, from which main method of which program class the framework is going to start the execution. You are asking this question, sir. You are asking creating a separate class file. I'm creating this right class file here only, right, but giving a different name. In this case, right, how, right, from which main method, right, whether program one dot main method or program dot two main method, from which class the main method is going to execute. Right. So in this case, you will get right ambiguous error. Right. There are multiple. Right. So here you can see build error. Error build error. Would you like to continue on this? No, I don't want. So here what is saying? Program has more than one entry point. So what is saying? Program has more than one entry point. So you cannot have more than one main method right in a class. So now if you remove this one, right, then I can run the application and it is going to run. Right? So I'm getting the output. That's fine. But you cannot have write multiple main method in a single project. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Right? So this class name you can give any name, right? That doesn't matter. Why? Because this is a main method. It the program while it is going to scan this project, it is going to look for the main method. So what is the class name? That is not important. What is important? It should have a main method. And from there, the program execution is going to start. Clear, guys?
Okay, sir.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
So when you check that checkbox of configure HTTPS, what exactly it does
Sir,
in the
why you are
solution?
thinking, right? So why you are thinking about that HTTPS at this point of time? I'm going to explain all these things. So what is HTTPS? If you want to see, right, there is a file called launch settings.json file. So until and unless I have not explained this launch settings.json file, you will not understand what do you mean by HTTPS and how it is going to work. So what I'm currently explaining, please consider, right, keep focus on those concepts, right? So whatever I'm discussing, right, how it is working, what is HTTP, what is HTTPS, what we mean by launch profile, why they are providing different kind of launch profile, how the application is behaving, how the application is taking the port number, right? Can we modify the port number, what are the different environment, everything I'm going to discuss, right? For now, just keep right. We just need to go step by step, right? So while creating that project, it is provided that option HTTPS. I explain how that HTTPS option is going to work. That what I'm going to discuss once I start discussing this launch settings.json file. Clear?
Okay.
And everything is there, right? Everything is there at some point of time, right? So people, you guys are asking, sir, what are the statement written here? This is the part main method, right? When I will discuss the ASP.NET Core main method, at that time I will discuss what is HTTPS and all these things. When I discuss launch settings.json file, I will discuss, right? Everything, right? Whatever I'm explaining, every concept I'm going to explain in detail. So for now, let us try to understand, right, the project structure, right, whatever we created. So in this case, you can see this is the project structure we have created. So you can see connected services, dependencies, properties, app settings, and a program.cs class file. So we need to understand the file. So we need to go step by step, and we need to understand very basic, the small things, right? But these are very interesting things. Can anybody tell me what is the use of these connected services? What is the use of this dependencies?
References,
Sorry, what is the use of this?
references,
References means what?
So if you have add any middleware, then
I don't know, right? Whatever you are talking, right? Your voice is completely right breakable.
I,
Right? Let me
I
explain.
guess any
Right?
Azure services which our
Exactly.
program
Not
needed.
specific, yeah. Not specific to Azure services, right?
the
If you
external
are using, right? So guys, let me mute everyone and let me explain. Right? See, whenever you are developing any application, right? Most of the time, right, we are going to consume some third-party services. That might be your Microsoft Azure services. That might be your ASP.NET Web API services. That might be your WCF services, right? Some third-party services we might be consuming. So those services we can easily configure here, and without writing any manual code, right, we can consume them. For that purpose, this connected services option is provided. And in the coming session, definitely I will take one session to show you how to make use of these connected services to consume the third-party services. Clear? Because now you don't know what to mean by service, how to consume a service. So once we discuss, right, ASP.NET Core Web API, and once you develop some ASP.NET Core Web API services, then I'm going to show you how to develop another client application, either it is a console application or MVC application, or even another Web API application, and I'm going to show you how to consume the services without manually writing the code. The second one, you can see dependencies folder. So dependencies folder means what? Now, whatever the references your project has, all these things are going to become inside this folder. So here you can see currently there are two folder is there. So folder one is analyzer, another is framework, and here also it is going to contain the packages folder if you add any external packages. For example, okay, I will come to that packages folder later. But now what is the default? So can anybody tell me what is the use of this analyzer? Because see, guys, you guys are working, right? You are not new to ASP.NET Core, I assume, right? You guys have some basic information, means you might be created some of the project using ASP.NET Core. But
Could
have
you
you
please
ever thought?
tell me again? Could you please tell me again what
So
you're
have
looking
you
at?
ever thought about what do you mean by what is the use of this analyzer?
So it can help us to give suggestions during code. Like
Exactly, exactly, right? For example, right, if I'm missing this one, right, it is giving me some compilation error that this is expected, right? If I'm writing this app method, right, and I'm calling this dot, it is giving me suggestions, right? So,
Right.
so basically, right, it will help us to provide some suggestions, the refactoring, enhancement, improvements, warning, right? All these things, whatever we are writing, right, while writing the code, we are getting only because of this analyze. So it is going to analyze our application code and give immediate feedback. So it is similarly. So for example, if you are developing any, right, what I can say web application, and if you have implement some client side validation. So whenever there is a text box called email, and if you are providing one invalid email, immediately you are getting that email is invalid. Why? Because you have implemented some client side validation. Similarly, whenever we are writing the code in the editor, right, in the Visual Studio editor, we are also getting some suggestions, we are also getting some warning, we are getting also compilation error, we are also getting some improvements, right, we are also getting some intelligence supports, right? So code highlighting, so you can see the code is there, class, the color is different, program is different, right? So all these things we are getting because of this analyze.
So
Clear?
it's a before the build, right? Before the building the solution, right? It will directly.
So there is no relation between building the solution and this analyzer. Building is completely different. Don't put that building the solution with this analyzer. So analyzer means syntax highlighting. So whenever you are writing the syntax or whenever you are typing the syntax or editing the syntax, right? At that time, what intelligence supports you are getting, what highlight, right, warning you are getting, what compilation error you are getting, right? This is what you are getting because of this analyzer. So when you build the solution, for example, if I move this one, I'm getting some error. This is because of the analyzer. But when I'm going to build the solution, I will get the compiled one right error, and this is because of the compiled right after compiling the compiler giving this error. But over here, so this is a suggestion, or you can say enhancement, or you can say right whatever you can consider. This is what we are getting because of this analyzer. Clear?
It's like
Yes.
an IntelliSensor.
Yes, yes. You can consider anything. You can consider, right? It is just making our life easy, right? So now coming to this framework, right here you can see there are two different types of metadata packages, or you can say packages. One is Microsoft.ASP.NET Core.app. Another one is Microsoft.NET Core.app. Can anybody tell me what is the difference between these two packages? Why these two packages are provided to us?
No idea.
Right. So,
Diamond.
right. So guys, remember, right? Suppose I'm writing this console class, console.writeLine. So this is a this console class, right, belongs to one library. Yes or no? Means it is belongs to one package. What is that package? System package, right? And right, you can see system package. So in this case, if you see, right, inside the system package or system library, there are many sub packages, or you can say they are containing many things. So the point that you need to remember, whenever we are developing a application, some basic functionality is required, like the threading classes, system classes, right? Right, or you can say collection classes, system.collection.generic classes. Some fundamental things are there. So here you can see the .NET Core.app, the second package what I have mentioned here, Microsoft.NET Core.app, it is going to provide you the basic functionality which are required for developing a console or a desktop application. For developing a console application, whatever functionality is required, that is going to be provided by this one. For example, I want to communicate right with the file system. System.file class is there. Input output operation I want to perform. System.io package is there. I want to write something in the console window. System class is there, right? So these things, or you can say basic data type I am using, integer, character. So they also belongs to some of the packages. So all these things are going to be provided by this Microsoft.NET Core.app package. Clear?
All base class library we can say that provided by.
Not all base class libraries, some of the class libraries, right?
Okay.
So you can consider, because here we don't have that BCL and FCL concept anymore. Here we have something called core FX. Clear? So the second package, right, what you can see here, Microsoft.ASP.NET Core.app, it provides the feature which is required for developing a web application. For example, I want to create a controller. I want to create some kind of a views, right? So these things, right, are possible. You want to use view data, view bag, temp data, session, cookies, right? Controller action method, action results, right? So all these things supports are going to be provided by this package. So this package is for the basic core functionality, core packages you can consider, and this package going to give you the support for developing the .NET Core web application. Clear?
Okay.
Right. So guys, remember why I'm saying, because right, even these things are available in your ASP.NET project. And I'm not sure why, because people never thought about this thing. Why these packages are there? What is the use of this package? Right? But we should know. Next one is, you can see the properties folder. So the properties folder is basically going to tell how the application is going to be run and launched. Means whenever you are launching or running the application, what is the port number, what is the URL, and whether it is going to launch using HTTP or HTTPS protocol. All these things are going to be provided by this launch settings.json file. For this moment, I'm not going to discuss this launch settings.json file. I will discuss this separately, right, in detail. For now, you just remember how the application is going to be launched. That is all the settings, right? For launching the application, all the settings are going to be provided by this launch settings.json. Clear?
My one basic question is there.
Yes.
So the .NET having the life cycle, right? It will create an object and then release through garbage collector. The same thing will be happen with this as well, core application.
So that one object creation, is this different from .NET Framework to .NET Core? So what programming language we are using here?
The same thing is there, right? That's
Same thing is there. The garbage collector, what they are using, the same garbage collector is here. The same generation 0, generation 1, generation 2 is also there. So do you know how the garbage collection is working? What are the different generation? When the data is going to be in which generation?
No, in that depth I don't know, but just want to.
No. See, if you want to know, then please learn in depth. If you are not learning, that is fine. But if you are learning, please learn in depth. That is what my fundamental thought process. And whatever C session I'm providing, right? Many, right? Not all, right? I think 10-15 members, right? They have already joined in the C group. Right, just go and watch the session. I have already explained, right, what are the different generation, right, how the right object move from one generation to another generation, how it is right, which generation it is frequently visiting, why, and all these things I have explained. So the next file you can see is app.settings.json file. So you can consider this is the replacement of web config file. So in web config file, we generally store the data in XML format in our ASP.NET applications. Here it is a JSON file. JSON file means it is going to store the data in key value pair. So whatever application right level configuration, right, you want to store, you can store them here, right, in the form of a key value pair, and throughout the application you can access the data. For example, the logging related settings, right, the right, what I can say, database connection string, right, the API keys, right, all these things you can put inside the app settings.json file. And once you put the data in the app settings.json file, then very easily, right, you can access this data throughout your application. Clear? All these things we are going to discuss how to work with app settings, right? We are going to discuss how to work with launch settings, right? And we are going to discuss right, all the statement, right, whatever statement I have written here, 4 statement, all these 4 statement I'm going to explain one by one. Clear?
Sir, in app settings, we can add the bindings also, no? For a web
Sorry?
service.
So what binding you are talking about?
I mean, when in app web.
Binding means what? This is we are not using any WCF services, right? Where binding is required. So binding concept means WCF. So I'm not
Yeah,
understanding
so
what binding you are talking about.
like in web config, when we add the bindings, right? For
What
any
binding?
WCF
So you
service.
just tell me, faster tell me what do you mean by binding?
Binding means when you are consuming the WCF service, right? So that
So
it will have
see
the address
that
and binding and endpoints.
see, I have no idea about WCF, to be saying
The
frankly,
address
because
actually, when you consume
Yeah,
the WCF. Yeah.
another
right, so
question is if we add any package or DLL, right?
I'm going
It
to
will
discuss how
directly.
to add, see how to add a package, where the package is going to be right, where the package is going to be added, how it impact the project file. All these things I'm going to discuss in today's session. Don't worry.
No, my question is in normal .NET, right? If you add anything, right? So automatically
That will
code will
use,
be generated in web config file, right? The same thing will.
that is what I'm saying now. See, whatever you are asking, that code is going to be, that package reference is going to be added in the web config file. What will happen, right, in the case of a ASP.NET Core Web Application, where
Yeah.
that package reference is going to be added, right, in ASP.NET Core Web Application. I'm going to discuss in today's session. Why you are in a hurry?
Okay, fine, sure.
right? So first, let me complete today's session. Then, if you guys are having any question, right, I will happily answer the questions, right? For now, right, for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the application, right? So now run the application, right? Once I run the application, right, then you will see I'm getting the hello world message. Once I run the application, you will see I'm getting the hello world message. This hello world message is coming from here. So whatever changes I'm doing here, right? Hello world, good morning, right? Whatever message I'm writing here, right? And this message I'm going to get, right? So once you run the application, then it is going to run the application and you will get the message. Clear? So what is this statement I have written here? I'm going to discuss. So before that, what I'm going to discuss, right? What question? That project file. So project file. So right, project file means what? Right? If you are working with right, if you are working with ASP.NET framework project, right? ASP.NET framework application. So there is something called a CS file. If C# was the programming language, VB file if VB as the programming language. That is what we have. Yes or no?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
In our
Yes, sir.
ASP.NET, not ASP.NET Core, this is the ASP.NET framework application, right? So this is one. And in the case of ASP.NET framework application, right? If you want to update the project file, then what is the option you have to? How you are going to update the project file? By directly, you cannot update the project file, update the project file. So what you need to do? First of all, you have to unload the project, right? Then what you need to do? Open the project file, right? Open the CS. Let's assume C# is the programming language. Open the CS file using what? Notepad, right? Then update the data. Then save the data. And then again reload the project. This is what we generally do, right? In our ASP.NET web form, right? In ASP.NET framework application. You have to upload the project. Then you have to open the project file, right? CS project file using a notepad. Whatever changes you want to do, update, right? Whatever changes you can do it, then save the changes, and then again reload the project. And that changes whatever you have done, right? That is going to be available in the project. So this is what happening, right? In our ASP.NET framework project. But with the ASP.NET Core, this has been changed drastically. So with ASP.NET, right, what I can say core, this has been changed drastically, right? So let us try to understand, right? So what I'm going to do is, right, if you want to update the project file, now you do not need to unload the project and open the project in a notepad and all these things. You do not require to do all these things. So what you need to do is right click on the project and here you will see edit project file. So right click on your project and you will see the option edit project file and click on this edit project file. So once you click on this edit project file, you will get these options, right? And here, this is a XML document, right? So this is an XML document. And here you can see project file. Let us try to understand this SDK. It specifies what type of project is this. So Microsoft.NET.SDK.web specifies that it is a web application. Clear? The first statement is clear. Clear or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, clear.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
So this is the project file. So here it is saying this line specifies the right SDK that will use this project, right? In this case, means this is an ASP.NET Core project, right? So now within the property group, right, we can configure many things, right? What are the things we are configuring here? Target framework, right? So target framework means what the framework this project is a target that is it is specified using here. So .NET 8.0. That means if you remember while creating the project, what framework we have selected? .NET 8. That means within the project file, it is also specifying what framework the project is being targeted. So it is .NET 8.0. So nullable enable. So this is one of the new feature which is introduced in right what I can say .NET, that is nullable enable. So in this case, this nullable enable, so it basically it basically used to reduce the chance of runtime exception, right? Nullable exception. For example, right? Public class, right? What I can say, let assume we are having a class called example. Let assume we are having a class called example. So in this example, let assume we are having one method public, right? Void. Let me give the method as some method, right? Some method. Now, let's give this method as some method. Now, what I'm doing here, I'm creating an right. I'm creating example example equals to null, and then what I'm doing here, example dot some method. So in this case, right, you can see I'm getting some warning. Example may be null here. Dereference of a possible null exception, right? So, okay, let me initialize this one here, right? So here it is saying that example might be null. So you might get null reference exception. This warning I'm getting here. Why? Because I'm enabling this one, nullable enable. Now, the other value for this property is disable. So once I disable this thing, come to here. Am I getting any warning? The same code I have written, but now I'm not getting any warning. But now if I'm going to run this application, am I going to get any runtime exception, null reference exception?
Yes.
Yes. So
Yes, sir.
basically, this nullable disable or nullable enable feature is introduced by Microsoft to reduce the chance of a null reference exception. It will give you the first level of warning that you might get, right? For example, right? Let me introduce some method 2 here. Some method 2. So what I'm doing here, I'm calling again. So in this case, right, you can see first statement it is giving warning, but not the second statement. Why? So it is right. So he is not that dumb that he will give you the same information again and again. He just give you the warning only one time. So if you are doing the same mistake again and again, it is your mistake. I'm not going to tell you again and again. So that is the reason why you can see only giving the warning first time. Second time, it is your responsibility. If you want, right, please fix this issue here. So here you can fix this issue that yes, there is a chance that this object is might be null. So let me initialize this one. Clear, guys? What is the use of this nullable enable feature?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Okay.
I have one
Now,
question here.
yes.
When we are making a label as a disable in this CS project file, and where we are declaring the class, we have implemented the nullable operator there. It will show the warning or not?
Yes. Sorry. It is showing the warning, na?
No, like you have created the class something like example, just like we are creating some properties, and suppose we have
Obviously,
created one property in
okay.
the class and we have applied the question
Okay,
mark
okay.
there like that.
Let me give this. Let me. So suppose I'm creating this one. So am I getting any warning? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Right? So why I'm getting this warning?
Yes,
Suppose,
yes.
right? So why I'm getting this warning? Because it is a nullable. It is not a. So here you are creating this property, and you are not marking this as a nullable type property. So what you need to do? If your intention, right? So if you are saying that this is not a nullable type property, so what you can do is not equals to
Add
null.
question mark.
So what is that issue? Right? So you can do something. And if your intention is to create this as a nullable type property, please put a question mark. So here, right, if you are using this feature, you have to explicitly tell whether this property is a nullable type property or not. If it is a nullable type property, put a question mark, otherwise initialize that property. That's it. Right? So this is the things that what you need to remember.
enabled or disabled.
Why multiple guys are right? So next one, what we are going to discuss is right, implicity using. Right. So implicity using means what? Right now, if you look at this program, right? Suppose I'm going to create a list of right. Let me give this as an employee. Let me give this as a name, and let me give this as a job. So now what I need to do is I want to create a list of employee. So list of employee. So in this case, this list belongs to a particular namespace, or what is that namespace? System dot collections dot generic. Clear?
Yes.
You guys all know this thing, right? That
Yes.
list class belongs to system dot collections dot generic namespace. Now here I'm using this list of employee. But am I specified at namespace here?
No, sir.
No.
Then how it is working? This is working because most of the commonly used namespaces are going to be provided implicitly by the framework. Now, if I disable this one, then what will happen? See, I'm getting the error. So what, from which namespace this belongs to, right? From which namespace this belongs to, right? You can see I unable to navigate. Why? Because that namespace is not provided here. Once I enable this thing, the commonly used namespaces are provided to us. Clear?
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right? So this is how, right, you have to write the statement. Right now, if you want to see where the namespaces are coming from, you can see derived from first core web application demo1 dot global usings dot g dot cs, and inside this namespace, all these files are already using statements are derived. Right. So first core web application demo1. So what you can do is to see this one, go to this folder. Right. What is that folder? I think object. What is that name? This is the name. Yes, so this is not global using .g.sys. Just open this in a notepad. So you can see all the global using statements are written here. So whatever you can say system.io, system.collections.generic, using system, right? All these are represented here. Now, if I remove this thing, right? If I remove the statement from here and save this one, now what will happen? Now, in this case, you will see this list is not available. Why? Because I have removed that. Okay, if you remove that, then what you need to do? You need to import the namespace system dot, right, collections dot generic. Clear?
Here we can add global names like suppose I am using the Newton soft, and if I have
Yeah,
added that Newton soft in
can,
this file,
you
is
can.
it fine?
Not only that, right? Any namespace you want to make available throughout the system, you can put it here.
Okay, good.
Clear, guys?
Sir, so no need to define to anywhere if we define here.
So this is global, na? Global means throughout
Okay,
the
okay,
application.
okay,
If you define here,
okay,
no need to define anywhere else. And,
okay.
and coming to Sagar, your question, right? If I'm defining the nullable type, then there is a chance that we can reduce, right, the number of null reference exception. So you just tell me which one is better, getting the null reference exception at runtime or avoiding the null reference exception by getting the warning at the development time. Which one is better? So you can decide which one is better, and accordingly you can say, right, you can decide whether this feature is right good for me or not. For me, this is a very good, interesting feature because it will reduce the chance to getting null reference exception at runtime.
Yes, sir.
Right. So clear, guys?
Sir, one doubt. So if in
Yes.
the if we stop putting the using statements in all our class files and use it only in the global file, then is there any performance penalty for that, sir?
See, so do you think that if I'm putting the using statement, is it going to impact? No, it will not impact. Even though, right, whether we are using that name, right, file or not, that doesn't matter. So there is no
Okay.
performance penalty, right?
Okay.
So, right.
I
So
think
now,
sir, one more down. So in that file, you just wrote that implicit using is enabled. So why we declared about that? Yes, enabled. Implicit using is enabled, and we declare that system.generic is we are importing that namespace. I didn't get, means I missed something or didn't get
see,
something.
see, in this case, there are two things to be understand. So this is the file, right? So, okay, I don't need to open like this, right? This is the file, right? Which contains all the, right, global namespaces. And whether this global namespaces should be enabled, right, throughout your application or not. That is what it is going to be, right? For example, I don't want all these namespaces. I want to remove these things. So how you can, is that possible using this knowledge, right, implicit using statement?
No.
Because that
This
is not
statement is
available.
basically used for enabling or disabling the global, right, using statements. So whatever statement you want to enable and disable throughout the application, those individual statement you have to put here. So this is where you have to define what are the using statements that are going to be available globally. And this basically this in the project file, it is going to tell, right, whether to enable this feature or not. So this is for enabling and disabling the feature. And what are the things, if enabled, then what are the namespaces that are going to be available globally? That list it is going to put, right, going to contain inside this file. Clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right.
So basically, when we add the generic namespace in the global, then we don't need to use that import that using keyword.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
here you can say, I have added this statement because I have removed that one,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Correct.
Now, if I'm going to add this one, then I do not need to right, import
Yes.
that one, right?
Got it.
So you can
Thank
see
you.
I have added that one here. Now, if I remove this one, then see once I added that one, you can see automatically it is deselected. Why?
Yes.
Because it is saying that it is already available. Why you
Mhm.
are going to put again? So you can happily remove this thing.
Yes. Got it.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes.
Sir, using package manager, if we added any things like
So why,
new,
see, guys, remember. So adding package manager, I'm going to discuss that in some time. So why you are in a hurry?
no, sir, is that come to the global file or not? That what?
Why? See, global file or see by default, these are the things which is available in the global file. So these are the things. So if you are adding something, right, using some package manager, how it will come into this file? So these are, see, global using statement means what? The commonly used namespaces, right, which are required. So as we are developing a web application, so whatever the statements, right, whatever the namespaces that are commonly going to be used, those are putting here. If we are adding some third-party packages, so those namespaces are not going to be automatically right, added inside this list, right? So let us also right, understand, right? So to prove this thing, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right add a package, right? So let me go ahead, open package manager solution, right? So inside this package manager solution, let me tell which package. Okay, so you guys are very interested into Newtonsoft.json, right? So Newtonsoft.json, let added this package. So this is the Newtonsoft.json. I have selected this one and I have installed this one. So once I install this one, it is taking some time, right? Because we are loading for the first time. So yeah. So apply the changes. Okay. So it is installed completely, right? Now you can see inside the dependency folder, it is creating another folder per package. So this package is going to contain some additional or third-party packages, right? What you have installed, right, into your project. So this analyzer for syntax highlighting framework means the core functionality and ASP.NET core functionality related packages. And this package is for the third-party packages what we have installed using NuGet. Now, once we install this package, you can see Newtonsoft.json. That package reference is going to be there in the project file. So earlier, these things are there in the config file, but now it is included in the project file. So you can see another item group is there, and inside that item group, right? It is going to contain all the packages. So the point that what you need to remember, whenever you are adding any packages, whenever you are referring to any class library or other project, if you are creating any folder, all the references are going to be stored inside the right inside the project file. For example, right, let me go ahead and add a folder. So let me go ahead and add a folder. So test folder. So as soon as I add the test folder, you can see that folder reference is added here. Similarly, if I am having one class library project, and if I am referring that project from my right from this project, that project reference is also going to be created here as an item. So the point that you need to remember, any package you refer, any project you refer, any folder you create, all the references are going to be stored inside the project file. Clear? And as soon as you remove, suppose I remove this folder. So as soon as I remove this folder, automatically that reference is going to be right removed from the project file. For example, I come to this place and I uninstall this package. So as soon as I uninstall this package, come here and check that reference is also going to be removed automatically. Right now, if you right now, let me show you this thing also. So for example, not this one. Okay. So tools, package manager solution. Okay, let me install this one. So once I install this one, right now open the CS file, right? That global using .cs class file, and you will see, is there any newtonsoft.json file is there?
No.
No. So this is not automatically going to be stored inside the project file. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Right? So now if someone asks you what is the use of a connected services, you need to tell if we want to integrate some third-party services without writing any manual code in our application, then we can take the help of a connected services. How? We'll see practically. What is the use of a dependencies? The project related packages are going to be stored inside the dependency folder. Analyzer, it basically gives you the syntax highlighting, right? Framework, it provides you the core functionality, core packages, right? Core packages related to, right, what kind of application you develop that, right? For example, if you are developing web application, then ASP.NET Core web application related packages also going to be provided along with the core packages. Packages folder, any third-party packages, what we installed into our project, those are going to be stored inside the packages folder. Project properties folder, it contains one file called launch settings.json, which is basically used to launch, how to launch the application. That launch settings, right, are going to be stored inside this launch settings.json file. And guys, remember, this is only for the development environment, not for the production environment. In your development environment, whenever you are running the application using Visual Studio, how that application is going to be run, what server to be used, right? What port number to be used, right? Whether to use in-process hosting or out-of-process hosting, whether to use custom web server or whether to use IIS, right, IIS server, what exactly going to be used? All these things are going to be decided by this launch settings.json file. Again, we will discuss this launch settings.json separately. App settings means, right, any application configuration settings you want to define, like the logging settings, right? For example, you want to consume some third-party services. For consuming the third-party services, you need some API key and values. So those things you can put here. You want to communicate with the database. For communicating with the database, connection string is required. You can store the connection string here. And the program class, this is the main class, right, which contains the main method from where the program execution is going to be started. Clear, guys?
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
So
sir.
how to create a project and what is the default project? See guys, this is the default project structure for ASP.NET Core MT. If you are creating MVC project, then the folder structure is going to be different. If you are creating web API project, the folder structure is going to be different. As you progress, I'm going to show you, if I'm going to create an MVC project, then what should be the folder structure, how we can create that folder structure manually. And once you discuss the things manually, then I'm going to show you how you can do the things right using the related right, what I can say, templates, right? For example, for developing MVC project, a different template is there. For developing web API application, a different project template is there. Clear, guys?
Yeah. Pranay, can you open the text pad? The text pad. Yeah. So from where you got this one? Actually, I'm trying to. It's auto-generated, right?
So this auto-generated file, right? You can go to this one location. So wherever your project is created, right? So let me show you one more time, right? So this is my project folder. Clear? So this is my solution folder. So here you can see the SLN file. Inside the solution folder, I have created one project. That project folder is this one. Inside this project folder, go to the OBJ file, right? Inside this OBJ file, go to the debug file. Inside debug, there is .NET 8.0. In .NET 8.0, this is the target framework. Here you can see this one. And just open this.
Got it. Thank you.
So these are the very right basic things, but right we should know, because if something is happening, right now, if someone asks you how it is possible that I am creating this class and this class belongs to right this namespace, but this namespace I have not provided here, but I'm not working, I'm not getting any compilation error. How is this possible, right? From where the namespace is defined. If someone asks you, right, then how you will answer this question? If you know, then you can tell, yes, this is possible because of the global usings, right? To understand this thing, first open the project file, double click on this application or right click and click on edit project file. Here you will see this is implicit using is enabled and the implicit using statement are there inside this folder. So just open and show them, yes, the using statement are defined here and we are enabling the implicit using, so framework will automatically, right, add those using statement at the top of the program class or any class. Clear? Right? And if they was right, can you prove this? So what you can do is here you can see this arrow mark, right? And just click on this and whatever the right global namespace is currently the files containing that list you can see here. Clear, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now, now what we need to do, right? We need to understand the program method, right? So we are discussing this program class and there is a main method. So the point that you need to remember, guys, is they have drastically changed the main method from .NET 6. If you are working with, right, .NET before 6.0, if you are developing the application, we are having two class files. One is startup class, another one is program class. Startup class is basically used to configure the services and middleware components, and program class basically used to configure the web host and start the server, right? Now they are putting all these things together inside the program class. So let us try to understand the program class and try to observe, right? So here you can see there are four statements written. So to simplify this statement, you can consider this is step one, right? So this is going to be my step two. This is going to be step three. So this is going to be step four, right? So let me write in this way only so that you will easily understand, right? So these are the four different steps. So this is, right, creating, right, what I can say, right? So this is creating, okay, let me put this statement, comment statement, okay. Right. Same. So we have already discussed this main method, it is a static method. As it is a static method, we can directly call this method, right? The framework can directly call this method without using any object of the program class because it is a static method. For static method, we don't need any object, right? And this is the program execution entry point you can consider. And here you can see the program class main method taking the string arguments parameter. So can anybody tell me what is the use of this args parameter? What is the use? Did anyone use this args parameter?
Number of arguments that we'll be expecting.
To
Sorry?
take command line argument.
Exactly.
Yeah, we
Exactly.
can.
Exactly. Right. So if you want to pass some command line arguments, I'm going to show you, right, in our coming session, how you can pass what type of a data we need to pass from the command line, right? That what you can pass and that value it is going to take. right? So basically any command line arguments, if you want to pass that value, it is going to store inside this arch parameter. So here you can see inside the web method, right, main method, we have written 4 statement. This is the statement 1, means what? Creating the web host and services, creating the web host, and you can see configuring the default services. Then this is building the application, setting the endpoints, routing or middleware components, and running the application, right? Guys, see, understanding this little difficult, but let us try to understand. So this is the, right, for example, right, to run one web application, what we need? What we need? We need to host the application. Yes or no? To run the application, first of all, what we need to do? We need to host the application or not?
Yes, sir. On
Right?
IAS.
Yes, sir.
Right? We have to host, that is a completely different story altogether. But to host the application, right, what you need some of the things or not, some of the right things, in the sense you need the machine, you need the server, you need the application, you need, right, everything you need to gather together or not, you need to decide what is the right. So basically what I can say, right, if I'm going to host the application, first of all I need to decide, I need to make a blueprint, right? Blueprint in the sense what? Now first of all I need to decide, yeah, this is my application, I need to host this application on a Windows server. No, I want to host this application on Linux server. So basically, first of all, I need to decide what will be the server. Once you decide the server, then you need to decide, okay, let me go with the in-process hosting. No, I don't want in-process hosting. Let me go with the out-of-process hosting. Then how the application is going to be hosted, right? Where it is going to be hosted. So this information we need to decide first or not. Yes or no?
Yes,
Right?
sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So basically, whenever I'm calling this create builder method, this is a static method on this web application instance. So it is going to return me web application builder. So it is going to return me web application builder, right? So it is going to return me web application builder instance. So what exactly this create builder method is going to do internally? Internally, it is going to do many things. What are the things it is going to do? It will set the web host. It will set the web host. What do you mean by web host? Where to host the application? In IIS or in Custral Web Server? What is IIS and what is Custral Web Server? What is, right? All these things we are going to discuss. For now, let's consider these are the web server which is going to host our application. Then second, it is going to decide, right, whether to use in-process hosting or out-of-process hosting, right? In-process or out-of-process hosting model. What hosting mode it is going to use, right? That what it is going to decide. It is also going to configure, right? It is also going to configure logging services, right? So do you want to enable logging for your application? Logging services with the console and a debug, right? So basically, I will show you all this thing practically in a coming session, right? By default, you can see when we run the application, you will see the log is going to be there in the console window. The log is going to be there in the debug window. It is also going to configure the, by default, it is also going to configure the, right, configuration services, right? So configuration services, right? So configuration services means what? Means what? Now here you can see this is my app settings.json file. Here I'm going to store the data in the form of a QL pair. For example, connection string. For example, the API keys and values. For example, any other things, right? What I am going to store. So if those values I want to access throughout my application, then what I can do is I can make use of a configuration service, which is already configured by the framework when this create builder method is going to be clear. It is also going to configure, right, the built-in dependency injection design part. Built-in dependency, right, injection container, right? So I'm going to discuss what do you mean by dependency injection container, how it is working, how it is managing the lifestyle, what are the difference between singleton, scoped and transient services, how to use, when to use, right? All these things we are going to discuss. So it is also going to give support for built-in dependency injection container. So once this is done, these are the things which are going to be done internally, right? When we call this a create builder method. If you are getting confused, what do you mean by IIS and Custral? What do you mean by in-process hosting and out-of-process hosting? What do you mean by logging services? What do you mean by configuration services? What do you mean by dependency injection container? Don't worry. All these things I am going to discuss in our coming session. For now, understanding this thing little bit difficult. But those who are working professionals, those who are having some idea, right, they can right, imagine what are all these things. If you know, then don't worry, I'm going to discuss. For example, right, in this, right, I'm going to discuss, right, what is request processing pipeline, what is right, custodial web server, what is in process hosting, what is out of process hosting, right, how you can read the data from app settings file using configuration service, how you can log the data into logger service, right, how to create, right, all dependencies, right, all these things we are going to discuss. So once the builder is there, right, means once you decide what are the things I need to put, and based on who is right, the web host is going to be created, then what I need to do, we need to call the builder method. So once we have the builder's instance, then we need to call the build method. Once I call the build method, that means now our application is ready. Now our application is ready, right, for what? To start handling the HTTP incoming HTTP request. So once you call the builder method, right, your application is now ready to start accepting the HTTP request. So once you have the builder method, then it is going to return something called web application instance. So it is nothing but your web application instance. So using this web application instance, right, if you guys remember, right, what we can do is we can register the middleware pipeline. We are going to register middleware pipeline, or you can say right, components, right? So you anyone heard the term middleware components, guys?
Yes, sir.
Right? So using this app, see, using this builder, so these are the things which is by default. Now along with this, right, if you are having any, right, custom services, right, custom services, then you can also register here, right? For example, you created one custom service and you want to add that custom service to the dependency injection container, or for example, you want to use this as a MVC project, right? You need to add some services to make this application as a MVC project, right? So these are the things with the pre-configured. Apart from this, many custom things also we can do. That's what we are going to discuss. Creating this application as a MVC application. So what you need to do, builder.services.mbc, builder.services.add MVC. That means I'm adding the MVC functionality to this project. So this is possible, right? And these things we are also going to discuss. Not only this thing, any custom services, and that custom services, or you can say built-in services also, right? Built-in and custom services, right? You can also add, right, using this builder instance. So once your services are ready, once you decide what should be the web host and what are the configuration required for my application, then only you need to call the build method. Once you call the build method, now your application start building. So once you call the build method using the builder instance, then what you need to do, you need to register the middleware components or request processing pipelines. So better to tell this is middleware components, or right here you can say a request processing pipeline. So any term is fine, right? So this middleware components or request processing pipeline, what they exactly going to do? They exactly going to tell you what are the endpoint is defined which can handle the request, what is the routing mechanism defined for your application, whatever the middleware components you define. For example, I want to apply some kind of a authentication middleware, JWT middleware, exception handler middleware, right? Swagger middleware, many built-in middleware are there. You can also create your custom middleware which you want to register, right, to the application processing pipeline. Only when you create the web application instance. And how you can create the web application instance? After setting the web host and configuring the default services. So here we are configuring the default services. You can also configure any built-in and custom services as per your requirement. Once you configure everything, you need to call the build method. Once you call the build method, these things are going to be built. That means here you are creating the web application builder, not the web application. And once you call the build method, your web application is now ready. So once the web application is ready, then only you can configure the middleware components or request processing pipeline. So what are the things you can configure? You can configure endpoint routing. You can configure middleware components, anything you can configure. And by default here, what exactly he is configuring? He is configuring one endpoint. And what is that endpoint? Map get. So this is one endpoint, routing endpoint, right? So in this case, using this up method, it is configuring this map get endpoint. So how? So this endpoint, what exactly it is? It is considered, you can consider this is one of the endpoint which is going to handle the incoming HTTP request. And what HTTP request it can handle? The HTTP request which contains the slash. Slash means the root URL of the application. If you are accessing the root URL of your application, right, then this endpoint is going to be executed, right? For example, I just typed slash and here I have written home, right? So here I'm writing hello world home, right? So you can create any number of endpoints. So this is something called a minimal API, right? Which we are going to discuss in our coming session. You can access this using localhost, right? And then port number slash. You can access this using, right, how what should be the URL for this? Localhost, right, a port number, and then this last one, right? So this is how you can access. So once you have the application instance, web application instance, you can register the middleware component. So here the middleware components are registered, and this app.run method means now it is starting your application. So when you call this run method, your application is being started. Now it can handle the incoming HTTP request. Now, if I run the application, then by default you will see this middleware is going to be execute slash home. You can see slash home, and here you can see this is my local host, this is port number, and if I write home, you can see hello world, this is coming. Okay, this is the endpoint. Clear, guys?
Yes, sir. Actually, I'm new to this software development. What is meant by host to the application, sir?
So what do you mean by hosting the application?
Yeah. Actually,
So
I'm not aware this one. That's right.
so basically, this is not the time to explain what is the meaning of hosting the application. Right? I will show you in our coming session, right? Because we are having a separate session for hosting the application into IIS, Microsoft Azure. At that time, I'm going to discuss. But for now, what I can tell you is, right? Right. For example, you are using right Facebook, Amazon, right? Google, different application on your laptop or system, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
How it is possible? Does this system applications are installed on your machine?
No.
Then how you are accessing? Okay, so basically, right, very right. The thing is that currently it's see, explaining this concept doesn't matter. So what I can tell you is, please wait once the session ends, then I will explain you what to mean by hosting and how you are accessing the application, but not now. Once the session ends, is that clear,
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you.
Sir,
guys? Anyone having any more question?
can you explain the high
Hello.
level? What is the middleware component, sir?
So
Man,
we
what
are
is
going to discuss why you are thinking about middleware. We are having,
okay,
so I have provided the syllabus. What is middleware component? What
okay,
is request
got it.
processing pipeline? All these things are there in the pipeline. But
Okay,
now
okay.
you just
So
consider this is one endpoint. When the request comes, that endpoint, whatever delegate I have written here, that is going to execute, and we got the response.
startup.cs file they removed from that this version,
Not
na?
required. Yeah. So there is no startup.cs class file.
Okay.
Hello.
Only this program class file is there.
Is middleware a replacement of HTTP modules and HTTP endpoint?
Exactly. That is what I have already given, right? In my ASP.NET Core introduction session, right? Introduction to ASP.NET Core. If you remember, right, I have provided HTTP handlers and model replaced by middleware components. Clear? And
Okay.
this web config
Thank
file,
you.
what
Yes,
we
sir.
have earlier, that is replaced with our app settings.json file. Now, this is app settings where we can store application level configuration files. Earlier, we have having global.x class file, but now we are having this program.cs class file where we can configure, right, any settings which we want to execute at the time of application startup. Clear?
Sir, what is the difference between iHost Builder and here we initialized with the web application? Because we are using
Where is
.NET
iHost
6.
builder? I don't see any iHost builder here.
Yeah, saying that in .NET 6 we are using iHost Builder to create
No,
this
in .NET
builder.
6, in .NET 6 we are using this one. If you are talking about .NET 5, we are something else. At that time, you can, yeah, you might be using iHost builder, right? So currently this is right .NET 8, and right. See the thing that what you need to understand is each version, right? How the application is going to be hosted, right? How the complexity they are going to be reduced, that is what you need to understand, right? The things, right, they are streamlined. Streamlining means what? They are simplifying the task of a developer. So why I'm going to make a complexity, right? The complex logic within the main method, creating the I host folder, right? Even I don't know, even I forget that syntax, right? What we are using in .NET 5 or right .NET 3.1. This is the current version, and that is what we are learning here, right? And even I recommended you to forget what you learn, because right, that is all, again, that is a completely story altogether. Again, we need to understand what are the things happening behind the scene. I have done some R&D and I have done some research about this create builder method. I know these are the things what is happening, so I can explain. And whatever question you are asking, for that purpose I have to go back to my right 3.1 right documents and the knowledge what I can. So, and I don't want to learn those things again, right? Because we want to, right, adapt to the newer things, right? Concept, right? What right? Functionality, what features they are providing. That what we need to understand, rather than understanding what is we are doing with HTTP module and right, what I can say, handlers. We need to keep focus on right middleware components. If you know, that is well and fine. If you don't know, then don't try to know again. Right? So why I'm saying? Because see, if you are asking means you should know this thing. If you don't know, then don't ever try to learn those things, right? Why? Because you only get confused and doesn't make any sense. And why I'm saying, see, currently you are learning ASP.NET Core. Does it make sense to learn this concept HTTP handlers and HTTP models anymore? If you know, that is well and fine. If you don't know, then why I'm going to waste my time by learning this HTTP handlers and models, which I am never going to be used anymore. Clear? So as I mentioned, the course is on .NET 8. So anything related to .NET 8, I'm going to discuss. Which is outdated, which is no longer used, no longer required, I'm not going to discuss. For example, that startup class. That startup class is now no longer available. That configure method is there in the startup class. So why I'm going to discuss that startup class, configure service method anymore, which are no longer available. Rather than what is happening behind the scene of this method, what do you mean by in-process hosting, what do you mean by out-of-process,
I
what
need to
is
install HTTP client.
so those things we need to understand. Clear?
Sir, I have one doubt.
Yes.
Web host IIS is already there, but why you are keeping like Kestrel? Kestrel, what is the Kestrel?
So I'm going to, so I don't know why you guys are right hurry. So what is your next chapter? So did you check the syllabus? I'm saying
Okay.
again and again, after this main method, next we are going to discuss what is in-process hosting, what is a Kestrel web server, why they introduced Kestrel web server, what is out-of-process hosting, all these things we are going to discuss.
Okay, next chapter.
Sir, in
Right? So,
Create Builder, basically we are configuring our all Visual Studio things, not our project thing.
no, why, how you are saying not projecting? So this logging services, this configuration services, this dependency injection, so these are project related things or not?
So so we can say both configuration we
Actually,
can.
so
Yeah.
creating, so what I mentioned here, creating web host and configuring the default services. So this web host, it is required for running the application on your local machine. But
Correct.
how the application is going to be behave, what are the services the application is going to use, those are also going to be part of this, na?
Okay, sir. Yes, got it. Thank you.
Clear?
Yes, sir.
Right? So this is a four-step process, right? Now, so this map get method, what we are using, guys, it is only going to respond to get request, not to post request or something else. For example, now if I run the application here, instead of home, if I type something 10, then what I'm getting? I'm getting this error, right? So now open Visual Studio, right? Open the developer command prompt and go to network tab and press this one. And here you can see, so it is saying not found. And here you can see what type of a request is this? Get request. So by default, so map get method is always going to be respond to get HTTP request, not post HTTP request. And here, if I provide a valid, if I remove this thing, then it is going to return me 200 success, right? 200 okay, and the request method is going to be get. Clear?
Yes.
Right. So this is for today's session. Tomorrow, what we are going to discuss? Tomorrow, we are going to discuss very interesting thing, that is right in process hosting, Custral web server, right? And what I can say, uh, uh, the out of process hosting model. So what are the in process hosting? What exactly the Custral web server? What do you mean by interface, right? Internal web server. What do you mean by internet facing web server, right? Why they are introduced the Custral web server? How Custral web server is used along with the other web server, right? Then I'm going to discuss what do you mean by auto process hosting model, when in process hosting will come into the picture, when auto process hosting model will come into the picture. All these things we are going to discuss. And then, right, we are going to discuss the app settings and launch settings. Once app settings and launch settings, we are going to discuss middleware components. So these are the fundamental and basic concept, right, what we are discussing, right? So once and until and unless, right, all the basic concept are not clear, you might be having some doubt, right, related to this thing. But once we cover up all these things, then you will get a very good picture, right? What do you mean by the ASP.NET Core basic concepts and how exactly it is working in our project.
I have one question.
Yes, please.
The app.run method is run when we run the application, right?
So it is going to run only when you start the application for the first time.
Okay.
So,
So
right?
when I use this endpoint /home, right? Then again it goes to app.run or not?
See how it is come to app.run. App.run only when you run the application for the first time. So when you start the application, this main method will execute. It will set the right configurations, right web host. This right middleware components are also registered into the application processing pipeline, and the application will start, right? And then when you invoke this endpoint, right? So these are not going to execute again from inside the main method. So these are already registered into the application processing pipeline. So from there only, whatever logic you have written, that logic is going to be executed.
Okay.
So don't think that I have written this statement here means again and again I'm calling this main method is going to execute again and again this run method is going to execute. No, it is not like that. This is only for the first time when you run the application. And these things are registered. So why? Why? Because this is the time, right, where we are registering the middleware component. Once this component are registered into the web application, and then you can access, right? If you access this endpoint, then whatever the logic we have written here, that logic is going to be executed.
Okay.
Clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. So we'll discuss, right? And this is, guys, this is this update mapket, right? It is basically called as something called a minimal API. And right, we are going to discuss this minimal API in detail, right? We are having a separate chapter called minimal API. You can check the syllabus where I'm going to discuss, right, how effectively, right, you can make use of this map get method, map post method, map put method, right? All these things. Clear?
Yes, sir.
So,
Sir, sir, I
yes,
have one doubt.
yes.
Within the Visual Studio, we have app settings dot JSON file. Can you expand that one, that arrow mark?
Sorry.
Within the on the Solution Explorer, we have app settings dot JSON file. Can you expand that one? We have one more file.
See, why you are thinking, right? What I have told you. So I think you are right. When I'm explaining, you are not understanding what I'm saying. So what I have explained. So this app settings and log settings, they are separate chapter altogether. I'm going to discuss them in detail. So what is
Oh,
app settings.json file? What is app settings.environment.json file? When to use, what to use, how to use. If the same settings is available here and the same settings is available here, then from where it will read the data. All these things I'm going to discuss.
yeah. Okay.
Right.
And
So
yeah.
what we have discussed in today's session is how to create a right ASP.NET Core empty project. What are the different files? And I'm not discussing each files in detail, right? Launch settings, app settings, we are going to discuss separately. And we basically discuss this program class 4 statements. That's it in today's session.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Within the browser, we have given the we have run the application and we have given the home. Whenever we have run the /home, we will get the hello world. That is the output for us. So whenever we given the 10 as a input, that will also from the
Sorry?
browser. Go to the browser once.
Hmm.
Now you can give the instr for home. Give me 10. It will throw some bad request like that. So
Yes,
this is
definitely.
also this is also get request, right? So why it's not
So this is a GET request, but tell me, is there any endpoint available which can handle this one? So one point endpoint is /home, another endpoint is only slash. These are the two endpoints which are registered into the application processing pipeline. But is there any endpoint which is /10 in my application?
no?
If not available, then definitely you will get 404 not found error.
Okay. For that, we need to. So everything we need to write a separate line for that one.
Yes, definitely. Each URL must be unique. So, for example, right? For example, if you open one page, then that page URL is going to be unique, or same URL you can access a different pages,
Yeah, understood, sir.
right? And again, this is map get, right? Here I'm only showing the get part. How to make this post, how to make put, delete, all these things are possible. That is what I'm going to discuss in our comment session, right? Because we need to go step by step. So now we are just in the day one of our development. So in day one, we just need to understand, right, how to develop an application, what is the folder structure, and right, how the application, right, is being built and executed. That's it. Tomorrow we are going to discuss the different hosting model, in-process hosting, out-of-process hosting. We'll discuss what do you mean by custom web server, what is the difference between right IIS and custom web server. All these things we are going to discuss. Anyone having any more question? They can ask. Otherwise, I can explain that guy, right? What is the hosting?
No doubt, sir.
Okay. Now this is the client machine, right? From where you are accessing the application. Right, so this is the client machine which using you can accessing one page, right? What is that application? Let us assume facebook.com, right? So from your browser, from your machine, you access this page. But right, so I'm accessing this facebook.com, right? So now you just tell me in my machine, this window, right? This Windows, this is one application. This Zoom, this is one application. This MS Word, this is an application. So this Visual Studio, it is one application. And these applications are installed on my machine or not?
Yeah, yes, sir, installed.
So if a software which is installed on your application, then that type of a software is called as standalone software. A standalone software is a software which you need to be installed on your machine in order to access them. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Right now. So this Facebook.com, is that a software you installed on your application? I'm not talking about mobile app. I'm talking about web application. Did you install Facebook.com on your machine?
No.
Then how you can access that? So this is possible because there is some server machine is there, right? There is something called server machine. You can, right? In your language, I'm talking server machine. So there is a computer, right? Inside that computer, right? They have host this application Facebook. So inside that computer, right? They have host, right? That Facebook application. They have host that Facebook application, right, hosted, and they have provided that if anyone wants to access this application, they have to use something called http://facebook.com. So once they have hosted this application and on the server, and once they make this application is available with this URL, right, and then by using internet, you can access that application. So using internet, right, using internet, you can access the application. So, so now you just tell me, if I'm not hosting this Facebook application on the server, can you access that application?
No, sir, not possible.
So basically hosting means making our application available on internet. Using a browser, using HTTP protocol, we can access the application. Clear or not?
Yeah, clear, sir. Thank you.
How to host the application, we will see practical. But for now, without hosting the application, no one can access the project, right? If you want, right, there are two ways. Using this, right, domain name you can access, or by using the IP address also you can access the application. So for now, look, in my local machine, you can see when I'm accessing this application, I'm using the local host. Right? So this is local host. You can consider this is the domain name you can consider. And this application is also hosted somewhere. Where it is hosted, how it is hosted, we will see tomorrow. Clear, guys?
Yeah, yes, sir. Clear.
Yeah. Anyone having any more question?
Yeah, so in case of a standalone application, how it works?
So you have to install that application.
So when I am installing that application on that time, basically we are hosting that application on my machine.
No, no. So for standalone application, hosting is not required. For example, I'm using this Visual Studio. Does I need to install Visual Studio anywhere? You are using a
No.
Notepad. Does it need to be hosted anywhere? No. Standalone application means it is going to be a software which needs to be installed on your machine. Web application means it is going to be hosted on the server, and using browser you need to access. For accessing a web application, you need internet and browser. And to use a standalone application, you have to install that application. For example, if I am not installing MS Office on my machine, can I access MS Office?
No.
So that is why, because MS Office is a standalone application. Clear?
Okay, okay, got it.
Yes, sir.
Anyone having any more question? Right? Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.